Mai drove in silence, the road stretching ahead like a question with no answer. Her hands trembled on the wheel, her sons quiet in the back seat. No music, no small talk, just the hum of the engine. When they reached home, the house felt both safe and foreign. Bin ran to his room without a word. Bo clung to her leg before slipping away down the hall. Mai stood still, the weight of realization pressing into her spine. This wasn't new. This wasn't an accident. It had been happening while she looked the other way. She opened her laptop, fingers hovering above the keyboard. The glow of the screen illuminated years of financial records. Rows and numbers that told a story she never wanted to read. Money for her parents' roof. Money for her sister's car. Money for everything except her own peace. 9 years of giving, explaining, excusing. Her throat tightened as she scrolled through the transactions. It wasn't generosity anymore. It was control dressed as duty. She whispered the total aloud, the number cutting through the silence. 3 billion in local currency. Her voice cracked. How many times had she said, "They need help"? How many times had she called that love? From the doorway, Kong watched her, holding 2 mugs of tea. He placed one beside her without speaking. His silence wasn't judgment. It was understanding too deep for words. "You were right," she said quietly. "They don't call for love, they call for money." Kong sat beside her, the mattress sinking under their weight. He touched her hand, grounding her. "You don't owe them your life," he said softly. But guilt didn't fade easily. It had roots in childhood, tangled with duty and fear. Mai opened another document. She began listing every time her parents refused her help. Her surgery, her son's illness, the move to their new home. The list grew longer with every line she typed. By the end, her hands were shaking. A message blinked on her phone screen. Her mother's voice through text. "You're being dramatic. Come back tomorrow." Mai stared at it, the words familiar, almost comforting in their cruelty. She typed a reply, then deleted it before sending. In the reflection of the laptop screen, she saw her own face. Not the obedient daughter. Not the provider. Just a woman on the edge of truth. Her chest ached, but somewhere inside a small spark flickered. Not rage. Not despair. Something steadier. Resolve. She closed the laptop and stood. In the next room, her sons were building a fort out of blankets. Their laughter drifted through the door, soft and pure. Mai breathed in, feeling the sound fill the cracks inside her. She didn't know what tomorrow would bring. But she knew one thing with absolute certainty. The cycle ended tonight. The morning came cold and gray, light spilling through thin curtains. Mai woke early, her mind already racing. She brewed coffee but couldn't taste it. Her phone buzzed again and again, unread messages stacking like guilt. She didn't open them. Not this time. Instead, she opened her banking app. Her thumb hovered above the cancel button. Her heart pounded, but she pressed it anyway. The automatic transfers stopped with a single click. A small sound, almost nothing. But it felt like thunder in her chest. Next, she called the mortgage company. Her voice shook as she spoke her name. "I need to remove myself from the loan," she said. The woman on the line asked if she was sure. Mai's answer came clear and final. "Yes, I'm sure." When she hung up, her hands trembled, but not from fear. From freedom. She sat at the kitchen table, breathing slow and deep. For the first time in years, she wasn't rescuing anyone. Kong walked in quietly, his shirt half buttoned. He watched her, eyes steady. "They'll be angry," he said. "I know," she replied. "They'll call, they'll twist, they'll threaten." He nodded once. "Then what?" Mai looked up, meeting his gaze. "Then I'll say no." The word felt foreign, heavy on her tongue, but also clean. She repeated it under her breath like a prayer. "No. No, no. By afternoon, the storm began. Her mother's first call came with the trembling tone of practiced sadness. "Sweetheart, your father is well. The payment is due." Mai's jaw tightened. "I'm sure you'll figure it out," she said softly. Before the next call, she blocked the number. Lan's messages arrived minutes later. "You've gone too far. Mom cried all night." Mai placed her phone face down and walked away. Her sons were drawing at the table, crayons scattered like bright confetti. Bo looked up. "Mom, are you okay?" She knelt beside him, brushing his hair back. "I'm better," she said. And she meant it. That evening, she gathered old family photos from the hallway wall. Smiling faces. Perfect poses. Behind each one, a history of quiet cruelty. She packed them into a box and replaced them with new pictures. Camping trips. Birthdays. Moments that belonged to them alone. When Kong saw, he said nothing, only smiled. Later, in bed, the house quiet, Mai whispered into the dark. "They won't understand." Kong turned toward her. "They don't have to." She stared at the ceiling, heart heavy but steady. Outside, rain began to fall, soft and rhythmic. She imagined it washing away everything false, everything owed. Tomorrow they would call again. Tomorrow she would still say no. Tonight, she allowed herself to rest. For the first time in years, the silence felt like peace, not punishment. 3 days passed before the next wave hit. Mai arrived at work early, her mind clear, her steps steady. The lobby was quiet until a familiar voice sliced through the calm. "Mai, we need to talk." Lan stood by the reception desk, heels sharp on the marble floor. Her tone carried the same authority she'd always used to control. Mai froze for a second, then straightened her shoulders. "This isn't the place," she said. Lan ignored her, eyes flashing. "Mom can't sleep. Dad's blood pressure is through the roof. Are you happy now?" Mai felt every pair of eyes in the office turn toward them. Her pulse hammered, but her voice stayed even. "You should go." Lan laughed, brittle and cold. "You think you're better than us now, because of that husband of yours." The words hung in the air, heavy with venom. Mai's assistant stepped forward, protective. "Ma'am, you need to leave," she said firmly. Security appeared seconds later, guiding Lan out. The glass doors closed, and silence returned. Mai exhaled, her hands trembling beneath the desk. She hated that her sister could still shake her so deeply. At lunch, she called Kong. He answered on the first ring. "She came to my office," Mai said quietly. "I know," he replied. "She called me first." "What did she say?" "That you've lost your mind, that I'm controlling you." Mai gave a dry laugh. They never run out of lies. That night, another text arrived from her mother. "Sweetheart, please stop this. You're tearing the family apart." Mai typed, "No, I'm saving myself," but deleted it again. Words meant nothing to people who only heard what they wanted. Instead, she blocked the number and turned off her phone. In the quiet, she sat on the floor beside her son's fort. Ben was reading to Bo in a soft, careful voice. She watched them, heart aching and full at once. They deserved better than this legacy of manipulation. Later, Kong joined her, sitting cross-legged on the carpet. "They won't stop," he said. "I know," she whispered. "But neither will I." The following morning, her boss called her into his office. "I heard what happened in the lobby," he began gently. Mai braced for reprimand, but he shook his head. "You handled it well. Take a few days off if you need." She smiled faintly. "No, I'd rather stay busy." He nodded, understanding without pressing further. That night, as thunder rolled outside, Mai heard a knock at the door. Kong opened it to find her father's voice, echoing through the rain. "Tell her to call her mother. She's killing her." Mai stood behind him, unseen, unmoved. When the door closed, she whispered, "Enough." The storm outside grew louder, but inside, Her resolve grew stronger. They could call her cruel, ungrateful, heartless. It didn't matter. For the first time, she was living by her own definition of love. And she wasn't going back. Sunday morning was still when Mai parked outside her parents' house. The curtains were drawn, the air heavy with silence. She held her phone tight, thumb resting on the record button. Inside, voices drifted from the kitchen, soft and sharp. "She'll come back," Lan said. "She always does. We just need to guilt her long enough." Her father's voice followed, low and certain. "The mixed ones will never fit in. She should know that." Mai stepped forward, her pulse pounding in her ears. Each word confirmed everything she had feared. She entered the kitchen doorway, phone already recording. "Tell me more about that," she said. All three froze, faces twisting in surprise. Her mother's cup rattled against the counter. "Sweetheart, we didn't see you there." Mai moved closer, her voice cold but calm. "You said my children don't belong. Why?" Her father straightened, trying to recover control. "You misunderstood. We were talking about society, not them." "No," Mai said. "You meant exactly what you said." She placed a folder on the table with deliberate care. Pages of transactions, every payment she had ever made. $141,000, she said. "That's what I've given this family, not counting the mortgage." Her mother's lips trembled. "Family helps family," she whispered. "This isn't help," Mai replied. "It's control disguised as love." Lan scoffed, eyes darting between them. "You're twisting everything. You've always been dramatic." Mai ignored her and continued. "I'm ending it. The money stops. The support stops. The silence stops." Her father's voice rose, sharp with authority. "You can't walk away from blood." Mai met his gaze. "Watch me." Her mother clutched her chest. "Your father's health can't handle this stress." Mai's voice didn't waver. "Then maybe he should think before teaching my son's shame." Lan slammed her hand on the table. "You'll regret this. Everyone will know what you've done." Mai turned to leave, but her father's threat followed. "I wonder what Kong's job would think about your instability." The words hit hard, old fear, clawing at her throat. Then another voice came from the doorway. Kong stepped in, calm and steady. He placed his phone on the table, pressed play. Her father's earlier words filled the room. "The mixed ones will never fit in." Silence fell heavy, broken only by her mother's quiet gasp. Mai reached for Kong's hand. "There's nothing left to discuss," she said. Her father's face turned red, trembling with anger. "You've chosen him over your family." Mai looked back one last time. "No," she said softly. "I've chosen peace." She closed the door behind her, the latch clicking like a full stop. Outside, the sunlight felt different, clean, unfiltered, free. Mai breathed deeply, letting the air fill the spaces where guilt once lived. The ties had been severed. This time, there was no turning back. Weeks passed, and the silence stretched wider than Mai expected. No more calls, no messages, no knocks on the door. The quiet felt strange, almost fragile, like something that could break. Then the news came through a cousin's text. Her parents had sold the house. Her sister's husband had left, buried under hidden debts. The empire of guilt she had financed was crumbling piece by piece. Mai read the message twice, then set her phone aside. She felt no triumph, only a deep, aching release. That evening, Kong came home with takeout and 2 bottles of tea. "Bad day?" he asked. She shook her head. "No, just real." They ate in the living room, while Bin and Bo built towers of blocks. The boys laughed loudly, their joy filling every empty corner. Mai realized she hadn't heard that kind of laughter in years. The air felt lighter now, like the house itself was exhaling. Later that week, she woke from a dream without dread. No phone ringing, no voice calling her name in guilt. Her shoulders didn't ache the way they used to. At work, she noticed the change too. She spoke up in meetings, her words landing with confidence. Her boss smiled, impressed. "You should apply for the senior position," he said. She hesitated, then nodded. "Maybe I will." That night, she told Kong, and he grinned wide. "About time," he said, eyes shining. The next weekend, they took the boys to the beach. No family obligations, no phone calls to return. Just waves, wind, and freedom. Bo collected shells, showing each one like a treasure. Bin ran along the shore, shouting his brother's name. Mai stood with her feet in the sand, the tide washing away old fears. "This," she said quietly, "feels like living." Kong took her hand. "This is what you fought for." When they got home, a letter waited in the mailbox. Her mother's handwriting, shaky but familiar. She didn't open it. Not yet. Instead, she placed it in a drawer beside her journal. That night, thunder rolled outside, soft and distant. Bin crawled into bed between them, whispering, "Mom, are we okay now?" Mai stroked his hair, her heart breaking and healing all at once. "Yes, baby, we're okay now." The next morning, she poured herself coffee and looked around the kitchen. The table was cluttered with crayons and cereal bowls. It looked like chaos, but it was hers. Every inch of it built without shame or debt. When Kong left for work, she kissed him at the door. "Thank you," she said. "For what?" "For letting me choose myself." The sunlight spilled across the floor as the door closed behind him. Mai stood there, breathing it in, feeling the quiet hum of peace. Not the silence of fear, but the silence of a life reclaimed. 6 months later, the call came unexpectedly on a quiet afternoon. Her father's voice was softer than she remembered. "I'd like to meet," he said. "Just me, no one else." Mai hesitated, the past pressing against her ribs. But something inside whispered, "Go." They met at a small cafe near the river, a neutral place with quiet corners. Her father looked older, smaller somehow, the weight of pride gone. He held his coffee with trembling hands. "I was wrong," he said simply. Mai didn't answer right away. "For what exactly?" she asked finally. "For how I treated your husband, your boys, you." The words came slow, each one costing effort. He looked down, ashamed. "I thought I was protecting the family. I was protecting my ego." Mai felt tears burn, but didn't let them fall. It wasn't forgiveness yet, but it was truth. The next day, her mother called too. Her tone carried no manipulation this time. "We want to try counseling," she said. "Not for money, for family." Mai's chest tightened, the line between hope and caution thin as glass. She agreed on one condition. No money, no guilt, only honesty. Her mother's breath hitched, then steadied. "I understand." Therapy began the following week. At first, every session felt like walking through fire. Her parents struggled with shame. Her sister avoided eye contact, her walls still high. But slowly, something shifted. Her father listened, instead of defending. Her mother cried, real tears, not the kind that demanded pity. Lan admitted she'd envied Mai for years. "I wanted to be seen the way they saw you," she said quietly. Mai didn't know what to say, so she simply nodded. Weeks turned into months. They met for dinner after one session, all sitting at a modest restaurant. Everyone paid their own bill. No one reached for Mai's wallet. It felt small but monumental. Across the table, her father asked Bin about school. Her mother complimented Bo's drawing without comparing. Even Lan smiled, genuinely, as the boys told stories. Mai watched them, her heart cautious but softening. When the check arrived, the waiter handed out separate slips automatically. He'd learned their new rhythm. As they left, her mother touched her arm. "Thank you for not giving up on us," she whispered. Mai smiled faintly. "I didn't do it for you," she said. "I did it for them." Outside, the night air was cool and clean. Her boys laughed ahead, chasing each other down the sidewalk. Kong reached for her hand, his grip warm and sure. "You look lighter," he said. "I am," she replied. In the car, the boys kept giggling, voices bright against the hum of the road. Mai looked at them in the mirror and whispered to herself, "This is what healing sounds like." The road stretched open before them, quiet and full of promise. A year later, they met again for dinner at the same small restaurant. The lights were warm, the air filled with quiet laughter. Bin told a story about his art project, his hands waving with excitement. Her father listened, nodding with genuine pride. Bo showed his baseball medal, and her mother clapped softly. Lan talked about her new job, confidence replacing her old resentment. Everyone paid their own bill without hesitation. No glances. No unspoken expectations. Just balance. Kong leaned closer to Mai, his voice gentle. "You stand taller now," he said. Mai smiled, eyes soft. "I finally know my worth." Outside, her parents hugged the boys before leaving. No guilt. No apologies owed. Only peace. On the drive home, Bin whispered something that made Bo burst into laughter. The sound filled the car like sunlight. Mai looked at them in the mirror, her heart full. "This," she said softly, "was always the goal." Kong took her hand as the city lights blurred behind them. Love, respect, and truth. The three things that built the family she chose to keep.